Good afternoon, sixth grade students and parents. This is Mr. Polly. I get to be your principal this year as you start middle school at Isani Middle School. Wanted to take some time right now to share some information with you possibly before you come in tonight. It'll also be there for you if you don't see it before the open house tonight. We typically would start open house with 10 to 15 minutes in the auditorium, but what we're going to do this year is try to save that presentation so that you have a little bit more time to visit your classroom. So I'll cover some stuff on staff and general information. We'll talk about sixth grade schedules a bit, talk about connections with school, web, blended learning. And then from 5:30 to 6:30 tonight, please feel free to come in, visit your classroom. Students, what we really want you to do is see where you're going to be. We want you to be able to see your teacher, but we also want to let you know, especially if your parents that are your now sixth graders, your oldest student and first student in middle school. Unlike at the elementary level, when teachers have a classroom of 25 to 30 students, every one of our teachers in sixth grade will be teaching pretty much every one of the 190 students each day. So we really don't have the time tonight to have long conversations or even brief conversations with teachers. If there's something really specific or unique you need to speak with a teacher about, feel free to do that. But we do want to honor everybody's time in being able to get around the building and greet people as much as possible. So with that being said, um, our map of the building is right in front of you, and you can see that. And I'm going to apologize first. The classroom numbers are a bit unique in this building because um, the building is not the way it was when it was first built. So with those additional rooms and stuff, it's kind of messed up um, our classroom layout and stuff. The reddish pink rooms here are our pretty much sixth grade specific rooms. You can see the teachers and the room numbers. The green rooms that we have here, 36, 34, 17, 18, those are what we call our allied arts rooms. And these are the teachers. And speaking of those teachers, and one last thing before we move to the next slide, the sixth grade locker bank is right here, right next to the pit, between the pit and our media center or our commons. Those are lockers that are only 2 years old and actually have only been used for 1 year because we didn't use lockers at all last year. Those lockers do have built-in locks, and every student schedule, when students come tonight, you can pick up your schedule. You may have already looked at your schedule online and or accessed your schedule from your phone. But please know your schedule will have your locker number as well as the combination for the lock that's on there. And the intent right now is for that locker to be your student locker your entire career here at Isani Middle School. So that locker, once you know that locker combination, that'll be your combination for the next 3 years. And I'll say this a couple of different times. Please, 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 please keep that locker combination confidential. Sharing your locker combination with a friend or a group of friends is not something you need to do. If you should forget that combination, we have a record of that combination, and we also have a um, a key that will open up every locker. So you don't need to worry about forgetting your locker combination. We have that. We don't want you to share that with anybody else because once it's shared, it's no longer secret, and you don't know who else could find out what that combination is. Speaking of teachers, I just want to introduce you here real quick to our sixth grade teachers. Um, Miss Mix and Miss Wilson are new to our staff this year. Miss Wilson will actually be covering science for a couple of weeks until we look at a longer term teacher for that. You will be able to see these teachers tonight. And then here are our allied arts teachers. In sixth grade, we have sixth grade allied arts of Phi-Ed, life skills, and music. And music is either a student could be in a regular general ed music class or they could be in band class. And then we also have 6 special ed teachers on staff this year. So if you are a special ed student, you will be able to get to know these teachers as well, and they are a great resource for you. And saving these 5 for last, this is our office staff. Myself and Mr. Groves are the administrators. Ms. Nellis is an instructional coach that we have, and we're able to share. She works both here and at Cambridge Middle School. And Ms. Emmons and Ms. Winger are also awesome staff members that will be able to help students and families over the next 3 years. So let's just talk a little bit about some general stuff. Visiting classrooms tonight, again, we have 191 sixth graders currently enrolled for this year. That number changes every day and actually multiple times a day, and it will probably continue to change over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And so that's why if your student doesn't have a complete schedule right now, some will be complete by tonight when we start open house. And even then, some will still change between now and the start of the school year and as we settle in next week. Lockers and combinations, your locker number and combination will be on your schedule. You will learn them. It's going to be hard at first, but you will learn them. Trust yourself. Know that you will learn them. Keep that combination private. And then also know that even if it's difficult tonight, on Tuesday next week, September 7th, you will have a web day. And when you're working with your web leaders at our 8th graders, you will also have time to practice that locker combination. If you're a student that's in band, please feel free to stop by the band room and see Mrs. Kennedy tonight as well. Food service staff and transportation will also be here tonight. And when you come in, we are going to, in the locker area, we're going to have pretty much just students going to and from their locker, finding out where they are. We're going to have food service, transportation, health office, and lighthouse services in our cafeteria. So if you need any of those services, food service, transportation, health office, or lighthouse services, please spend a little bit of time in our cafeteria. We will have our schedules ready for you to pick up, and that will be in our Commons, which is our media center. So feel free to stop by there and pick that up. One last thing I did want to say, we will have a table set up if parents would like to turn in the Chromebook user agreement and pay the $30, but feel free, or please know that you do not have to do that tonight. We do not want to have any really long lines for things tonight. We want to make it as smooth a night and relaxing a night as possible for everyone. So we are not making a big effort to do that, to do the Chromebook things. If you feel free to bring, if you feel that you want to get it done tonight, we will have someone available to take that from you, but don't feel that you need to do that. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about our instructional day. Our instructional day does start in the morning at 8:40. Our first period will start at 8:40, and the bell at 3:26 will end our day. What that also means is for the 8:40 bell, first period starts. Prior to that, at 8:30, we will have a bell. And that means students that are in the building already who are either dropped off or walk or bike to school. At 8:30, that bell signals the students can go to the classrooms. Prior to that, most mornings teachers are meeting and working in their classrooms. So we don't have students going to the classroom until 8:30. At 8:15, if students are here, they are allowed to go to lockers. And one of the things I put in our parent news the last 2 weeks, and I'll put it in for the next couple of weeks as well. If you are a family that does need to drop your student off between or before 8:15, we would ask you to fill out the form that I've linked in that parent news so that we know the student's going to be coming. And for now, depending on, and it'll maybe change depending on how many students we have in the program, we are looking to make sure that they're supervised during the time they're here till 8:15. So we would ask you to fill that form out. And so when students come in, just look for the sign. For right now, students that come in before 8:15, we will be having report to the Blue Jacket Commons prior to the start of the day. Okay, so 8:40 bell, 3:26 to the day ends. Our bell schedule for sixth grade um, has 5 periods prior to lunchtime, which is a 36-minute lunch. And then we have 2 periods, and then we have stat at the end of the day. Stat is something I want to touch base on very quickly. It's kind of like an advisory, student teacher access time. As I mentioned earlier, we have 191 sixth graders enrolled in our school. That means every one of our teachers pretty much has 191 of those students every single day throughout the 7 periods. We are putting in stat along with Cambridge Middle School as a way for our teachers to connect with a smaller group, with one class of students, and have that connection be every day at the end of the day. That allows students and teachers to connect, to go over PBIS things, to go over different things that we have going on in school. It also gives us a chance to use that time to do some interventions. So that is something that's a little bit new this year. One thing for sixth grade students, and we'll see it on the next slide as well, this is a pretty late lunchtime. What's nice about sixth grade is students will have their first 2 periods of the day. Then period 3, they will go to their allied arts class, and that's either Phi Ed or their music class or life skills. When they come back from that class, typically students, when they get here in the morning, will take their first 2 period classes and bring whatever they need for those 2 periods. They'll go to their locker after period 2 on the way to period 3, drop off their stuff. And then after period 3, they'll typically go to their lockers again, get their things for the next 2 periods before they go to lunch. When they go to their period 4 class, if a student wants to have a snack, and it's definitely something they can do in sixth grade, period 4 is usually when we have students have a small snack that they bring along. And that's just one nice way to get them to that later lunch. So then they have lunch from 12:46 to 1:22, and then they have the 2 periods, kind of 2.5 periods before the end of the day. All right. When you come, and you may have already seen this online, we will have we'll have student schedules ready for you. Here's an example of a sixth grade student schedule. I blocked out some of the student information for privacy purposes, but your schedule will have your student name up here. Your birth date will be here. And this is where you'll have your locker number as well as the locker combination. That's right on your schedule. Also, you'll have your student access, your Skyward student access login username is right here, as well as your lunch pin over on the right side. So your schedule actually has just about everything you need to be successful. Okay. One of the things that we have, it's a little different this year, is we have our school days are on a 3-day rotation. And we do that primarily this year because our sixth grade allied arts are on a 3-day rotation. So for example, this student will have life skills on day 1, period 3. Day 2, period 3, they will have band. And then day 3, period 3, they will have Phi Ed. The next day will be a day 1 again. And so they just start that rotation again. So this student will have life skills day 1, band day 2, Phi Ed day 3, and then they'll start that over again the following day. One thing that's on this schedule as well in sixth grade, and I'll go back one slide, is in addition to reading, writing, math, social studies, and science, we also added for sixth grade this year a class called Success. And that's a class that is unique to sixth grade. And what we're looking at that class being is helping students become successful middle schoolers. Because sixth graders right now, as you're coming into middle school, you're kind of sort of still elementary kids. Middle school is different. In middle school, you have a different teacher every hour. You move from one classroom to the next. You have lockers that actually have locks on them. You have a gym locker. Things in middle school are different. And we are looking to do some new things this year to help you be successful, not just successful sixth graders, but successful middle schoolers. And so that's what that success class is about. You can expect in that success class, you'll have some time every day to do some silent reading, some choice reading where you get to read what you want to read. We'll also use that to help get some extra time for math. But that also will be a time, and this is one of the things I want both students and parents to understand, is that's also a time where students will be able to practice their locker combinations. Students will be able to look at their schedule and talk about, what do I need for my first 2 period classes? So I just take those things to class. What do I need to do between classes? And this will be in a follow-up thing that I give to students next week and send to parents as well. When we talk about passing time in our school, we have 4 minutes between classes. That doesn't seem like a lot of time. It isn't a lot of time to do everything that students want to do, but it's plenty of time to do everything that students need to do. And part of success is growing as sixth graders, growing as middle schoolers, and really understanding the difference between doing what I want to do and doing what I have to do. All right. Again, this is that sixth grade student schedule. So period 1, period 2, period 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You'll notice that stat is not listed on the schedule, and that's okay, because the plan for now and for this year is that students will stay with their 7th grade teacher or their 7th period teacher during stat time. Okay, so they won't move from period 7 to stat. They will stay with that stat teacher. So students, when you look at your schedule, whoever you have for period 7, you will also have for that stat class. All right, very quickly on this slide, families, we do use email a lot. It's our primary way to communicate with families. So we would ask you to make sure that you log in, you go to Family Access from our school website, and make sure the Family Access information is accurate. Emails are accurate, phone numbers are accurate. We also use Facebook and Twitter to put some information out there. What we're also doing more this year is we've worked with the district to make sure that all of our students, 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, can email their parents from their school Google email account. And that's why it's also important for parents to make sure that their email address in Skyward is accurate, because if it's not, your student will not be able to email you from their Google account. And some people might think that it's silly for students to email their parents because they can talk to them at home. And that's absolutely the case. But there are many opportunities during the school day or during a school week where we will ask students to email parents, maybe giving them an update on how well they're doing. Sometimes there's maybe some challenging behavior, and so we might ask a student to email the parent and CC the teacher so that we can confirm that the student sends it, but email the parent what they're doing right now and what they should be doing. It's one more opportunity for our students to take ownership and responsibility for what they're doing. And at the same time, they can learn how to actually email people in an approved manner. My third son was in 6th grade last year, and when I asked him to email his teacher, he typed his whole email up in the subject line of his email, because nobody had taught him that we put a couple of words in the subject line and we have the body of the email for the letter or for the message. So that is something that we are looking at doing more of this year, because helping and teaching students how to communicate responsibly and respectfully is a part of our world. Okay, finishing up here. Remember, tonight is just the start of our middle school journey, and for most of you, unless you're brand new to Isani Middle School, You already saw many of our web leaders back in May when we had our web day, when we brought fifth graders over. So please know that many of the concerns or uncertainties you have today, tonight, this week, we're easing into the year. Tuesday, September 7th, will be a day where you spend most of your morning just working with your fellow sixth graders and your web leaders. And then in the afternoon, you'll have an opportunity again to meet all the teachers and walk through your schedule one more time before we have the seventh and eighth graders in the building as well on Wednesday. Okay, and again, one last time, because this is middle school, you will be taking your Chromebooks home with you, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to learn how to be respectful and responsible students with our Chromebooks. And one thing I did want to share with you, in addition to your lockers being your lockers for your entire middle school career, the expectation right now, because the Chromebooks you are getting this year are brand new, is those Chromebooks, if properly taken care of, will last you through middle and high school. So the Chromebook that you pick up next week on Tuesday, your first day of school, that Chromebook, if you're careful with it and responsible with it, will be your Chromebook for the next 7 years. Seems like a long time, but these things will last a really long time if taken care of properly. All right, to wrap up, we are looking forward to seeing you tonight between 5:30 and 6:30. First day of school, Tuesday, September 7th. The morning will be web, and in the afternoon, a condensed schedule, and you'll also get your Chromebooks at that time. On Wednesday, day 2, please bring your supplies. If you brought them tonight, please bring those supplies to your 7th grade teacher. Again, if you brought your supplies or bring your supplies tonight, please bring them to your 7th grade teacher or 7th period teacher. If you didn't bring them tonight, that's totally okay. Just bring them on Wednesday, September 8th, the second day of school. Bring those supplies, and then you can bring them to the shared supplies to your 7th period teacher. And this is just one last, and I'll share this in the email that I send as well. This is one last map of our school. You can see these orange rooms are our 6th grade rooms, plus these 2 white ones. And then our Allied Arts rooms, Phy Ed, and music are right down here. Thank you, students and families, and we cannot wait to see you tonight.